So, showing me shaking my head in my negative 19 deal after that Buffalo game where they all I can tell you Dolphins number one, baby!
Next up, baby.
Dolphins
Next
number
up.
one!
I swear, if a certain quarterback is mentioned in the comments, I got my beers ready. I'm going to crack it open.
Or is it the Serbian kid?
Serbia kid, This was done. Oh my god, it looks fantastic.
I hate you so much. No, get these man. Not a these man. Woo! I'm the man. I said it, and it's reality. All right, now.
Congratulations.
Muy buenas noches, Miami. As we can see, we got playoff Jimmy on board there. I just made a mistake of starting a show eating candy. Now it's stuck all over my teeth. So I'm sorry if I sound like an idiot. My apologies. We got my main man that's been gone for a week now. I know he's home. Justin Garfield. What's up, bud?
What up? You're wondering why I'm rocking the throwback Shingun jersey here. Well, any victory over the Spurs I'll take. We want a coin flip in Secaucus, New Jersey for the draft rights. So lowest we can go is 6, lowest they can go is 7. Let's go. We're picking number 1. We know it already, right?
You should. And like always, my right-hand man, the voice of God, a man of many faces. And now it's Jimmy smiling faces. What's up, Clutch? How you doing, bro?
Nothing, man. Just realized this is kind of like a pre-game stream.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, the NBA is stupid and has 9 p.m. games on the East Coast.
Charles Barkley said it best, and he was talking about Denver. And I'm like, I think he didn't notice that our game started at 9. I don't find a point to this. I don't know if it's the TNT agreement or original programming, but how are you going to start a game at 9 o'clock? You know how many kids want to watch this game? And it's past my son's bedtime, really. I let him sneak in maybe like a first quarter, but he has to go to sleep because if not, I can't wake him up in the morning. I don't understand. NFL fixed this with the Super Bowl. They started it earlier. I don't know why we can't start playoff games earlier. I understand crowds, traffic, but come on, Milwaukee, 9 o'clock. They got no traffic. They'll be fine. But on that note, and it's funny because you put the Jimmy face, and I think what Milwaukee's going to try to do today is probably try to contain Jimmy as much as possible and make Bam beat him and whoever we start, which I think is Robinson. But we don't know yet. We got confirmation a little while ago that Giannis is not playing. I hope, and I know we are well coached and well up top in our veterans, that we're not going to play down to our opponent because they're still the Bucks. But do we have a great chance of coming back home 2-0, which if anybody would have told us this a month ago, 2 months ago, we would have said it's impossible. There's no way. But playoff happens, injuries happen. So I'll take Justin. You weren't here last time. I want to see, what was your first take? Did you get to watch the first game? How do you feel? What are our chances of coming back home 2-0?
I got to see minimal minutes of the first game, but from what I did see, I heard the Hero news. It's really unfortunate. And then heard the Giannis news. And look, you never want to see the best players in the game go down. I know you're facing them, and of course your team wants the advantage, which I'd love to see Miami advance. But Giannis is such a good guy. You'd hate to see that happen to somebody like that. From game 1, look, this is still a Spo coach team. This is still a Pat Riley juiced team. This is a franchise that will upset anybody because of the Heat culture and the mindset. And with Giannis being out, they have a legit chance now to come home 2-0 and possibly make things really interesting, games 3, 4, and maybe 5.
And when you mentioned that, we always knew, and I talked to Bobby about this on Monday, we always mention and continuously say we're built for the playoffs. We're built for the playoffs. One of the things that it bit us in the butt, but one of the things that I always said was like we are at the healthiest point I've ever seen a Heat team going into the playoffs. Usually there's a lot of, I want to say major injuries, but they're role players. They're key role players that are nicked up and, they're playing limited roles. Like last year, Hero with a groin injury. Lowry was beat completely. It's great to have a healthy Lowry for the most part, which he's embraced his new role. and it's helped us reach new levels with that unit, which is why I don't think Spo's going to mess with Martin or Love. I think he's going to start today Robinson. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I do believe it'll be Robinson because he's the one that opens up that offense a little bit more. Bam loves playing with him, and he's kind of a very comparable component like Hero was with the shooting, certain shot creations, little triggers here and there. But Clutch, I'll ask you. You speak Spo, and we've talked about this many times. How do you like our chances today, and who would you go with in that starting lineup substituting Hero? Which it's a great loss, and he was on his way to kind of prove for himself and for others that he can be an integral part of a championship team. And it's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to see his earliest timetable return is the finals. So we could have wishful thinking. No one scares me in the East. I've said this the whole year. We've been inconsistent. The team has only beaten themselves constantly. No one scares me in the East. Our top dilemma was Milwaukee. We can get over them and possibly face the Celtics, obviously. I think we match up well with the Sixers and all that. So that's in the future. First round matchup. Clutch, how do you like our chances today, man? And who would you start?
I'm kind of scared about our chances because somehow I remember when we beat the Bucks in the bubble in 2020, the only game we lost, Giannis didn't play.
Yeah.
So the Heat have this thing about struggling against the Bucks without Giannis because I guess it gives the Bucks more versatility to not just run through one player, and they have very capable players. They have Drew Holiday, Middleton, Wes Matthews, Jake Crowder. So I'm worried. I don't think it's a layup like some people thought as soon as they saw Giannis out. But I'm interested to see what what's his name, Budenholzer does to try to contain Jimmy because game one was pretty much Jimmy take over and everybody followed his lead. And the team ended up shooting 60+%. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Interesting what they see what the Heat do without Tyler Hero. Lineup wise, like you said, but scheme wise, like maybe this is Jimmy's time to say, okay, no starting slow right away, get your buckets, and maybe hopefully we see Bam's second half performance during the whole game instead of his first half performance that he had in game one, because it was a tale of two halves. Because Bam was terrible in the first half. Yeah, and he woke up and he dominated the second half. So hopefully we get a little bit of that. As for the lineup, I think, and like you said, I speak Spo. The two obvious options are going to be either Duncan or Oladipo. Yeah. And one thing that I saw very interesting when they inserted Duncan in the game in game one, immediately you had Wes Matthews hugging him like white on rice. Yep. And you're not going to get that if you start Victor Oladipo. So I think you go. I know it's attractive to think Oladipo because of the defense, maybe. Yeah. To help defend, but in terms of offense, I just think the offense is much more free flowing if you put Duncan in there and try to kind of hide him on defense. Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely you might see more 2-3 zones off the bat, which I think that it's beneficial because the fall off is not much, and Duncan opens up all of these options offensively because he has the pull. People gravitate to him. They have to hold him, and when he's knocking down shots, which, like I said, realistic Heat fans, I understand we shot 60% from three. That's not sustainable in a whole series. You can get hot a game or two. I'm not saying we won't do it. I don't think it's sustainable for a whole series. So I do believe Mike Budenholzer will try. I wouldn't say he could possibly double team Jimmy to kind of get the balls out of Jimmy's hands. And when you mention about Bam, this is a trend, and this is something that has to continue to evolve. Depending on if he was obviously here next year or whatnot, that's a different conversation. But Bam tends to be aggressive when one of the two other key players are missing, and he needs to be an offensive a powerhouse. Where Hero, he kind of deflects more offensively to Hero. Bam now, if Duncan plays,
Bam is more of an initiator now, kind of like the point Bam. And what I like, one of the things that I do like, since Hero does not play and Lowry's still in the bench, we might see more point Bam, where the offense is initiated through Bam, even Bam bringing the ball up at times. Jimmy typically is going to do that, but I do expect to see some more focus on Bam because the Bucks are going to basically tempt Bam to continue to hit mid-range shots. This you'll see this in the game. Defensively, the Bucks will live and die with Bam making those mid-range shots consistently. If they start going in, obviously they have to come out and protect and change up, maybe do different schemes defensively if Jimmy's going too. But they'll try to shut out Jimmy. They're praying and hoping the shooting is not falling. If the shooting is falling, then obviously they're not going to be playing any zone. They're going to be sticking to their man, and they're going to count on Bam beating you. Like I said, for example, for the Heat-wise, I don't care if Bobby Portis scores 45 points. That's not a winning formula for the Bucks. We can live with that. We just got to make sure Middleton doesn't go off, Holiday doesn't go off, and defensively they cause havoc. And Grace, is there a more annoying player in the NBA than Grayson Allen? Do you guys share this? I don't want to say hatred, but this dislike towards Grayson Allen, Clutch, Justin?
Bobby Portis annoys me more than Grayson Allen, to be honest.
Did you see twice he shoved into Spo and bluntly, and those crazy eyes, he's looking at you like his eyes are wide open. Like, Clutch, Justin, did we lose you? Damn, Justin just froze up. Yep, we lost. For a second, I wasn't looking. When I see him, I'm like, wait a second, did we lose Justin? Okay, we're back. What's up, Justin?
What up?
Man, you froze up. It was like one of those poses. You were just like this the whole time, and I'm like, Justin? And then he just completely off the screen. So now he's back. I was telling Clutch, Justin, I don't know if you heard me the part about one of the most disliked players, Grayson Allen. Does he have a punchable face to you, man? Like, I just want to punch him for no reason.
I don't condone violence, but
it's like one of those things that you just see him, and it's like he aggravates you because he does those little tendencies of like a dirty player, and you continue to see it. He had been out, but Portis shoving into Spo, you know they're gonna take care of that. Portis, they talk a lot. It's part of the intensity. It's part of the back and forth. So there are things that do the Bucks. I don't know. You said something, Clutch, that I want to bring up, and it's funny to me. We play better when Giannis plays. That does not take away who Giannis is. Giannis is an absolute monster. I don't know if it's schematically you plan better because he's there, and we're the creators of the Giannis wall, like that other defenses tried to emulate but are not successful with it. So we have a plan in place to play against Giannis. But the overall thing, like, I'm not scared of Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez does not scare me. I feel that Bam could contain him if he's not on Giannis. I don't have any issue whatsoever. I can live with them scoring down low 40-something points as long as Jrue Holiday is not a factor. Do you see it? Is there any particular plan that the Bucks could have that you see that could wreak havoc for us that we wouldn't be able to combat or counter?
Middleton has this kind of weird thing with the Heat that kind of scares me a little bit.
Uh-huh.
He seems to be off against other teams, but when it's the Heat, he turns into what DeMar DeRozan is for us.
Yeah.
So just making every single mid-range shot. So I think the key, I mean, you want to contain Jrue Holiday, but I think you got to contain Middleton because
Jimmy was on Middleton, right? First game?
Yeah. I think they switched a little bit, but yeah.
They switched up? Okay. I was impressed, believe it or not. And Justin, I'll ask you this. Kevin Love. People talked about Kevin Love, but Kevin Love seems to be perfect for this series alone. Just the fact that the Brook Lopez, the rebounding, he's coming up the bench, he's hitting his shots. So that's a big thing as well. Just his experience. Do you feel that this is the perfect scenario? Do you feel there's any way we can lose this game? If we don't start slow.
Well, like you said, Kevin Love, this is the reason why you go get a guy like Kevin Love when he's out on the market, not just because Miami is Miami and everybody wants to live there, but Kevin Love is, let's not forget, a very skilled big man, and he's still got something left in the tank. He's still got his shooting. He can still pull out the rebounds that you need, and he'll be available for you right there in the corner like he was toward the end of the game and putting it down on the Bucks.
Okay, before we go on to the playoffs, I'll get to predictions since this is technically our first ever game preview show, because typically our show is always on after the game started, or the Heat game is at 10:30. I've done the West Coast trip, so this is the first opportunity we have to be a pre-game show, and I'll ask you 2 questions. I'll start with you, Clutch. Results of the game. I don't need points. I don't need point spread. Nothing. Just who's gonna win or lose, and who's gonna stand out this game.
I'm gonna keep it so simple. I think the Heat do win. Jimmy drops 40.
Whoa.
And I'm not even kidding. Jimmy drops 40.
Jimmy drops 40. I mean, you have the opportunity to come back home 2-0 against the number 1 seed with the possibility, even if Giannis plays or not, you can try to sweep them, which, you try to close it out at home. So, okay, Justin, you win, and who stands out today?
I'm going to go Heat by 5, and Duncan's going to pour in 24.
Oh, I like that. And it's okay, I'll follow up with that. I do believe the Heat will win. This is going to be a game of runs. I do believe the Bucks are going to try to set the pace because they cannot allow the Heat to get in transition. As a Heat head coach, you want to push the pace. You want to get them uncomfortable. You want to get them before they get set, before they get to their spots. And you want to run an offense that is similar to when Duncan was starting 2 years ago. And it opens up everything for Bam. Basically, your focal point could be Bam. I believe they will test Bam, and I believe Bam will go today for 30 and 15. And I do believe he's going to be the determining factor this game. So there we go. We've said that here. I'll bring this up before we go to predictions. Before the show started, Clutch, I'll start off to you and Justin. You can let me know the awards. End of season awards. I believe 2 or 3 are known already, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll give it up to you, Clutch. You let us know whatever award has been confirmed, who is the winner, and we'll react to that. So the floor is yours, my man.
All right. So the ones that have been confirmed so far, I think, unless I missed any, today, Mike Brown, Coach of the Year, well deserved. I think I'm pretty sure I saw it was a unanimous vote too.
Was the Celtics? He didn't get Mazzulla. They didn't get any votes. Joe?
I think I read it was unanimous. I'm not too sure, but yeah.
Okay.
And I can see why. That's a great way to say it. Unanimously done. That was a team that hadn't been to the playoffs in 17 years. A team that had no real experience except for Harrison Barnes.
And they're still young.
Honestly, I had them as a 7 seed and 7-8 seed.
That's to finish third, almost second, is just wild.
And they're doing what they're doing to the Warriors. It's crazy.
Their bread and butter play is just find the guy open in the middle and slam it.
The other awards that I remember, I'm trying to save the Depoy for last because I have something to say about that.
Okay, that's fine.
The second award that was Clutch Player of the Year, De'Aaron Fox, and yeah, that's two for Sacramento. I think Jimmy Butler came in second.
Should be, yeah, he should be, yeah. I've seen De'Aaron Fox play. He is clutch, and I don't think Jimmy should have finished any lower than 2. That's okay. That's fair.
Yeah, cool. I saw the first few Kings versus Warriors games, and then I seen the 4 quarters, and when I saw De'Aaron Fox do what he does, I was like, okay, I get it.
I was down. That was one of my trade candidates last year before they traded Halliburton. Obviously, they made the decision, which, granted, this is probably the best trade I've seen for young players that both franchises came out on top on both ends, really. Because obviously, Indiana acquires a marquee franchise player, and the Kings acquire the piece that they were missing, that man down low to go complement their shooting, their all-star point guard. So that was a win-win. So, sorry, deviated from there. But go.
Next award, I find this to be funny because of what happened last year, but we'll get into that. Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Reason that was given for Bam Adebayo not being the Defensive Player of the Year last year was because of hand injury and games played.
Yep.
Statistically, Jaren Jackson Jr. has less games played than Bam Adebayo did. Make it make sense.
It won't. It's Miami. They have this thing, and Justin, you're in the West Coast. It's not. I don't. Miami fans are entitled. A lot of Miami fans are entitled, especially when you're accustomed to greatness or trying to achieve everything for excellence. But why is it that when we mention this, we do believe there's a national media bias against Miami? We don't know why. I cannot pinpoint why. I am a Miamian, proud Miamian. So, Justin, from afar, obviously you have ties to the city, but you were raised in another city. You live in another city. Why do you think this is that what Clutch just said? The reason you give for player A not winning the award, yet player B wins the award, and he's under that criteria. How does that make sense to you, Justin? If you could explain. And look, what's up, Alex Brown? You see what's up, fellas? Y'all got this series now. Giannis.
Alex Brown, hello.
Much love from Alex. He's the host of No Holds Bar, which comes live right after our podcast, our show. So, Justin, go ahead.
The only reason I could really give for this happening is Memphis is still riding high off of the Elvis biopic. This is probably the most coverage they've gotten in years. I'm just saying. So I don't know what else to say, man. I love Miami. Media loves to hate on Miami because I guess maybe they're in Florida. Florida gets a bad rep, especially nowadays, unfortunately, as much as I love Florida.
Yeah.
And not only that, this is made up of the New Yorkers and what do they call people from Connecticut? My roommate once told me, I forget. All those pundits at ESPN, all those guys.
Oh.
And all the Philly lovers, up in the Northeast, the Bostonites up there. And I find this so laughable because half of them live in Miami half the year.
Exactly. It's like they just like those like Billy from Land Lovers said, they hate us because they hate us. But it's for some reason, and I understand we don't have, obviously when LeBron was here it was all love, and Wade was here and Shaq was here, it was all love, of course, national games. But you can argue that we have a superstar in Jimmy that is very, very eccentric, unique superstar. Obviously he's his own way. He kind of like what I always think about Jimmy and Miami is that it's like the perfect combo where you're basically the same person. So at times you're gonna butt heads. You're gonna dislike each other. You're gonna hate each other at one point. But you are what's best for the other. And Jimmy, if there's a player that is Miami Heat basketball, obviously aside from Udonis Haslem, is Jimmy Butler. And you can see that, and I have no problem whatsoever. And him being our leading man. And if we don't get any coverage, at the end of the day, I don't care. We don't get any awards, I don't care. Look at Spoelstra. Spoelstra's never won Coach of the Year. He'll probably never win Coach of the Year. And we all know across the board, with his peers, he's top 2 NBA head coach. So there's no
he's
issue
a top
there.
15 coach of all time.
Of all times, man. Of all times. And like the job, I'll never forget this too. The whole situation when Wade, do you remember 08? Was it 08 or 09? When Wade came back, that he led the league in scoring. He took us back to the playoffs. Everybody knows that Wade should have been MVP that year. I don't remember who won MVP that year.
Kobe.
Kobe? We all know, everybody knew across the board that Wade should have been MVP that year. But it's a thing that, LeBron broke that curse because when he came here, I'm like, bro, there's no way LeBron wins MVP again. Like I just removed that from my realm of possibility. But he won 2 MVPs. So what can you say? At the end of the day, what we care about is hardware, championships, and we seem to be in a decent place. Even with all the uncertainty that might come this off season. But enough of us. We are a basketball podcast, not a Heat podcast. So, playoffs. That's the reason you play to get in. Anything can happen any given day. It sucks, but your franchise can have an altering move by one injury in the first round of the playoffs. So we have Memphis, Ja Morant now playing. Lakers could possibly go up 2-0. I don't even know the score. I think I read here from one of our listeners, Lakers 32 points, second quarter. Did they score 32 points in the second, or they only have 32 points in the second? That's interesting. I'll find that out.
By the way, breaking news, Duncan Robinson is starting.
Is starting? There you go.
Yes.
Okay.
It's 52-39 Memphis with 2:54 in the first half.
So basically 32 in the quarter. I mean, in total.
Those are which is funny. I'll bring this up because I've always thought about this, and sometimes say people say, why do teams play better when their star players are not there? And my response automatically is like, because they play freely. Expectations lower a little bit, and you don't have to account for that player taking 15, 20 shots, 25 shots. The shots are distributed. The team plays freely, open basketball, and sometimes you see that in some of the teams. That's why it, like what Clutch said, it does. Even with Giannis, with a situation over there in Memphis with Morant, it scares you when a team is playing, because you make it to the playoffs. You just don't make it to the playoffs because you made it. You're there for a reason. Even if you struggle, if you're inconsistent, you're still a professional team. You're still professional, and people are always looking for an opportunity to step up. So in this whole playoff scenario that we've seen, Kings are up 2-0 with the Warriors. Lakers could be up 2-0. Go back to LA at 1-1. What has intrigued you the most? What games have you seen? What series do you believe are the best on both conferences? Because I know we predicted it last week, but now that there's at least, I think every series is 2 games in already, except us. So what do you see so far, Clutch?
I've seen some of the series kind of expected. The Nuggets easily taking care of the Wolves. That was predictable. I find the Suns and Clippers series kind of interesting. It was because it's been back and forth. It's been a game of runs. Chris Paul finally broke the Scott Foster curse.
I was about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane, man. He finally did in the playoffs.
Yeah. The most entertaining series for me is weird because it's a 2-0 lead, but I love this series so much. It's the Kings and the Warriors, because just seeing that new guard step up to take out the old guard, the trying to kill off the dynasty basically, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing Mike Brown leading this group of young guys. De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk out of all people is doing fantastic, and just going at them, they're still the defending champions. That's funny to say. They're the defending champions, and they're getting taken out by the Kings.
Yeah.
And I find it to be really entertaining for me because I really like De'Aaron Fox as a player. I kind of gravitated towards Kentucky guys once Bam got drafted into the league.
Yeah.
And then Tyler came, so it was another Kentucky guy. So yeah, I really like this Kings team.
And now that you mentioned that, and I'll just touch upon this real quick. The Warriors are on the verge. People talk about us and all. The Warriors are on the verge of a summer that can alter their franchise, because I believe Klay Thompson's contract is up or coming up. Is he gonna? No, he's eligible for an extension. Draymond Green's contract is up, so he's eligible for an extension. They traded Wiseman to save in the salary cap, obviously for the salary penalty. So they're a team that, if they get bounced out of the playoffs by the Kings, you have to start making a decision, because you got Steph Curry getting up in age. He's still a dynamic player, great player, but you have to start reducing the age of his supporting cast. Now it's risky if you're going to go with Thompson, Green. Is that sustainable, especially with the ascension of all these teams in the West, like the Kings, like the Pelicans next year? Obviously, Zion Williamson concern. Until he loses weight, he's not going to be a reliable player because of the wear and tear his knees are going to take. He's having constant lower body injuries. That is weight related. We all know that. That's basic. That's physics. So there are certain situations a lot of these teams, their playoff is riding on what do they do. The Lakers are going to look completely different next year, possibly. But you have up and coming teams like you just mentioned. Nuggets are going to be there. Kings are going to be there. The Wolves tried to make a big move with Gobert. I don't think it was a right decision at the moment, and you kind of see they look out of sync. They look like they lost their whole offensive identity. So, Justin, I'll go with you, and I do agree with Clutch. To me, the most interesting series, because I believe whichever one of these teams wins this series will be in the Western Conference Finals and will probably make it to the finals. and the Clippers and the Suns. And it's insane that we got that as a first round series, which I believe will go 7 games. What do you find interesting? For example, we'll stick in the West and then we'll go to the East. What's intrigued you the most in the West?
That same series is just great. But I do worry for either one of these teams who has to get the Lakers most likely in the second round. And now we see this is a younger, more athletic, and smarter, quite frankly, Lakers team in front office than it was at the beginning of the season. So we saw what happened last time the Kings played the Lakers in the playoffs. I would love to see them get their revenge, personally.
That would be cool. That would be cool. That would be a cool, oh man, a full 180. And people talk about the Kings being helped officiating. Those Lakers were helped officiating wise. If anybody has not seen it, go to YouTube and just look at the fourth quarter, I believe, of Game 7.
Game 6. 2002 Western Conference Finals.
Oh my God, the ghost fouls, I think they were called, or something like that. Was the Kings were up like 20 something, right, Justin, or like 15 or something?
Something ridiculous, and the Lakers shot like 26 free throws in the fourth quarter. Mike Bibby got elbowed in the face by Kobe Bryant, started bleeding, and no foul was called.
I know that was. You're
I don't remember a lot of sports games when I was a really little kid. That's one that I actually do remember. And I remember seeing the last sequence. Kobe misses, Shaq rebound, misses. Somehow, Vlade Divac gets it out to Robert Horry. Buzzer expires. Big shot Bob doing what he does.
It's funny that you mentioned the other one that I remember. Clutch. You remember Derek Fisher over Tim Duncan? And that's when they established a rule that you had to have at least 0.03 to get off a shot, catch, and shoot.
Yeah, that was the 0.4 second one, right?
Yeah, the 0.4 second one. Yeah. After that, they changed the rule. It became you had to have 0.03 at least.
They ran into the locker room. They didn't even give a chance for a review. I remember that.
I was never a fan of Derek Fisher. That man flopped more than anybody else I've ever seen, not named Ginobili.
All right, we'll go to the East now. We'll keep it light. I still think the best series in the East is Cavs and Knicks. It's going back to New York 1-1. The Knicks, I don't know. I hope Randall's okay. I haven't followed up with that, but that's one of your situations again that you're down 20. There's no reason Randall should be out there. I think there was like 4 minutes left in the game or 3 minutes or something like that. You risk the possibility of injury. As a coach, I put him out right away. I'm not risking that. You're not gonna get a knick-knack injury out of nowhere. But I do believe that's gonna go at least 6 or 7. Boston, it's gonna sweep the Hawks. That's not even a contest. With us, we are in tune with the series because it's our Heat. But competitively, still the storyline of a 1-8 seed. I don't see a full sweep. If we do take today, I do see there's a possibility of a sweep. People might call me crazy, but it all depends on how they come out today. If we keep shooting the ball well, and this is what we're made of. So I'm excited for the East. I still think Nets, Cavaliers are best. Clutch, I'll go with you first. What's stuck out to you in the East playoffs?
The thing about the East playoffs is that I haven't paid much attention to them because all my focus has been on the Heat. And and I think as for the Heat series, really, really quick, I think it's crazy because if the Heat, this is a very pivotal game. If the Heat win today, they have a chance to win the series. I think if they lose today, they could very well lose in 5, just like that.
It's insane to me how ideally before the playoff, before this, notice how optics are, right? Before the series started, if I told you, oh, we're gonna go 1-1 and we're gonna go back home, you'll be happy, you'll be ecstatic. We're like, yeah, we got home court advantage, perfect, amazing. But now it feels like up 1-0. This is like a must-win game for us, which is insane to me because we already took one from them away. But you kind of want to build the momentum to come back home with it. Nets Sixers. That's the thing.
That's another sweep in my eyes. That one there.
It was a matchup. Sixers. The Nets have no way to defend Embiid at all.
The Nets should not even be competitive
for maybe 2 quarters, and then after that, it's too much.
That's it. And like I'm saying, Sixers healthy as well. Harden is a perfect complementary player to Embiid, Maxey. So they have a good formula as long as no one gets hurt. That's the number one thing. So really comes down to we got the Celtics sweeping. We got the Sixers sweeping, so we already know they're going to advance. Who do you think is going to win between Cavs and Knicks?
That's a bloodbath. I would really like to see the Knicks win just because those New York fans deserve something to cheer about. It's been a decade since the Knicks last won a series when they beat the Celtics as a 2 seed with Carmelo Anthony, who was it? Amari Stoudemire, J.R. Smith, that team. But that was also against an aging big three in Boston, who they immediately blew up the team. And Danny Ainge started that wheeling and dealing phase.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll agree to disagree, Justin, because the Knicks don't deserve anything. I hate them. I don't. There's this video.
Very fair analysis, Clutch. Very fair analysis.
Yeah. There's this video out there of a rapper saying, "Screw the Knicks, screw the Jets, screw the Mets, screw everything New York." That's how I feel. Because, like, it's funny because when we have this series against the Sixers and the Celtics and the Knicks, I hate those teams. I hate those cities. I hate everything about them. But when we play somebody like the Bucks, like we are right now, there's this mutual respect I feel in the series. There isn't with the Celtics and the Knicks and the Sixers, but
because they're not in a close crowd, they're a friendly Midwestern town.
Exactly.
Yeah, but back to my original point, screw the Knicks.
But what it also makes it interesting is the whole storyline this offseason was, can the Knicks get Donovan Mitchell? Can the Knicks get Donovan Mitchell? Well, the Cavs got Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, and you can beat Donovan Mitchell, which I'm telling you, the more at the time we didn't see it. I'm honest, we all didn't. The more you see Jalen Brunson play, the more you question how the hell did the Mavs let him get out of town if you can team him up with Doncic. I don't know if he would have reached his full potential with Doncic because now Jalen has the ball more in his hands. But when you just see that, the game was so much easier for Luka when Jalen was there, and I guess vice versa. So to me, that is still one of the most mind-boggling situations where Dallas now finds itself having to extend Kyrie or lose him or do a sign and trade for him, which I think is the most likely scenario, believe it or not. I do believe they're going to sign and trade Kyrie before he gets before he actually stays long term. But I'll say about the Cavs, I think the Cavs are a year away because they're still young, a little bit inexperienced. I do believe the Knicks pull this off, maybe 7, but it's still the most intriguing matchup to me. Where aside from ours, not because of the Heat, but it's just is Giannis playing? Are we gonna go up 2-0? Because the other 2 series, you're like, yeah, that's just a formality at this point. They might get one game, maybe the Nets, maybe, but the Hawks for sure have no chance whatsoever, in my opinion. And now they go up and blow up.
The Hawks came out swinging last game against the Celtics. They were up by like 15, and that lead was vanished in a snap of a finger. So they have no chance.
And they play better when Murray. It's insane because Trae Young, when they traded for Murray, I don't really know what they were trying to do because I didn't see that. You can tell that they're going to retool. That team needs a retooling because you have decent players in place. You have young players, but you have to change that dynamic. That backcourt doesn't work at all. But I know it's early, so I'm not going to get into finals predictions or anything like that. We'll do that next show when by the next show, we might already have some matchups set up for the second round, for the semifinals. So, in these thoughts, Justin, we always do this. Where in the world are you? So I know you're home. So please tell us about your travel adventures. Where has your professional life taken you this past week or these past 2 weeks?
Well, Clutch will be a little disappointed in me here because I was in New York last week, staying right next to Madison Square Garden. And of course, Game 1 and 2 had to be in Cleveland, so I couldn't get myself some tickets. Although, does my money really want to go toward James Dolan? I don't think so.
No.
I'm sorry you had to live through that, going to New York.
But I'll tell you, there was a huge difference in Game 1, Game 2 tickets in Cleveland and Game 3, 4 tickets in New York. The cheapest ticket I saw in Cleveland for Game 1 was about $64. Game 3 in New York, cheapest ticket I could find, $227.
That's insane, man. I mean, there's people that are well off, they'll do it. But like, I just analyze that as a game experience for me. Like, I got to take my son. Obviously, if my wife and my daughter want to go, that right there alone, you're looking at going to a Knicks game in Madison Square Garden, and that's on my bucket list. I do want to see a game in Madison Square Garden. I that's the mecca of basketball. I've always wanted to do it. Kind of like watching a baseball game at Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium. So that's something that some of these prices are so outrageous. And obviously, it's a whole situation we're going on in our country that no matter where you go now, everything is so expensive. And here in Miami, right now, it's like you're going around. It's like hurricane season. There's no gas everywhere just because we had a massive flood, obviously, in Fort Lauderdale. Port Everglades was shut down, basically. Now it's starting to get some normality, but everything across the board is so expensive, man. Especially with sports. People ask, like, oh, my God, how do these people get paid so much money? Think about how much money is in sports franchises. You go to these stadiums, the revenue that these owners are getting every game. That's why they want more playoff games. And it's better for the NBA if you can extend series. So that's a funny topic that I want to talk to you guys about next show. How the NBA kind of controls, because I even saw it with the Heat and Bucks game. I don't know if you noticed, when Giannis went down, we were still up, I think like 30-something to 17. Did you notice the officiating started calling knick-knack fouls on the Heat to try to keep the game close? And so
Chris Middleton was getting calls like he was LeBron James.
Okay, before we go, one thing. How do you feel about the Warriors, the suspension of Draymond Green? Do you think it was fair or not?
I don't know, because he did stomp him, but in the video he did hold him. But
exactly.
At the same time, it's the playoffs, so I would have just gave him a fine and let it ride, you know?
And let it ride. Because the Warriors face the possibility of going down 3-0 without Draymond. And Justin, how do you feel about that? Do you feel, because there's some rumors out there that they feel that the Kings are being favored by the referee. The NBA is trying to kind of play off the Warriors into a soft rebuild, per se, kind of kick them out of the pedestal. How do you feel about that suspension? Do you think that Dumars and the NBA handled that the correct way?
No, I don't. I think it's just complete and utter BS. Joe Dumars should know. He played in the rough Detroit Pistons 80s, 90s. If anybody, I can't believe he's the one who gets to make this decision.
The hypocrisy. He would have.
Like, yeah, Joe, remember every time you stomped on somebody, every time you threw somebody to the ground, every time you threw a punch, and then all of a sudden a stomp on the chest is a suspension?
Yeah, and I understand the history that Draymond has, because they even did a video of all the compilations of all the time he's kicked people in the nuts out of a non-basketball move. Do you remember when Kobe had that I think it was 1 or 2 seasons where he did that fall back every time he did the shot, the follow through, and it was like snap back and hit somebody, like hit Ginobili and all that. So those are things that are like they're not a basketball move. Like, I know Draymond could have walked over him, even tripped. He didn't have to stomp him, but I know Sabonis didn't have to hold him either. So when I'm on the floor, that's one of the things I hate. Number one rule: you never push a man when he's in the air. That's number one, because you don't know how he's gonna land. That's a big no-no for me, and it's a no-no for everybody. We're fighting if that happens. But those are things that I hate when these players now get to these breakaways. They start, like, the player's in a full break and you grab his leg or you grab his arm, like, to foul him. Like, there's things that you got to take care of each other's safety, man. It's a game, but you are playing with each other. But I agree. I don't think Draymond should have been suspended. He obviously got ejected. He could have been fined. But you don't suspend a player in a critical game going. And then one thing I'll say, for example, if it was in the regular season, would he have gotten suspended in the regular season? Because then I think it's fair.
Yeah, like, I think this season is a different story. But
okay.
I think you should give Sabonis some sort of equal punishment too. I don't know about suspension, but fine him at least $15K or something for what he did, because he caused his own injury.
And there's things there like he just mentioned, they're playing with each other. Just let them play. Let them play. As long as they're not killing each other, this is playoff basketball. Let them play. I hate games being decided by the referees. I hate the little knick-knack fouls. Just let the players play the game. You're just there to control, to make sure they don't kill each other. Referees shouldn't make the game about themselves, and some of them do. But on that note, we are going to wrap it up, and we look forward to next week's episode, which he possibly could have swept. Highly doubtful, but we could be hopeful. Justin, my man, always good to have you back. Are we going to have you next week? Are you traveling next week? No, man, we lost him again.
until the 26th.
Okay.
Let's see, the 26th is Wednesday. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Perfect, my man. Well, our tradition for our followers, our faithful listeners, like always, myself, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to tune in to No Holds Barred right after this. Like, subscribe, and I always lob it up to my man to the right, Miami Clutch. Any final words, buddy?
No, man, just Heat in 5.
Ooh, the culture is strong. But do we really have to go back to Milwaukee? Can we just sweep them, man? Like, is that a necessity?
It would be funny seeing the sad faces in the crowd.
In the crowd? Did you see when they panned out to like the alley, I guess, where like what was that place called? I know in Toronto it's called Jurassic Park, but the
Deer
TNT,
District.
The TNT cameras went out, and you saw nobody there, just 3 people there, and quickly they just go back. I'm like, whoever's in charge of this angle should have fixed this, bro. But well, good luck. Game's about to start, I believe, in 8 minutes. So, like always, go Heat. For Justin, Clutch, I'm your host. Like always, much love. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next Wednesday. Stay safe, Miami, and stay dry.